Hey everybody, so this is going to be a fun shot. My camera is frozen, right? I left it in my truck, and as you can see, the lens is fogging up right now, just from me talking. So I'm going to look all ethereal and, woo! Oh my goodness, that's funny. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Anyways, we got back from the trip from Grand Junction to go see the Kolpakov preliminary hearing, and I posted an update immediately after we got out. It's just going to keep on doing that because it's frozen. But there were a couple things that I didn't touch on because I just wanted to get that update out there. And, yeah. One thing that Misty told me that I should have said was, what was the judge's reason for not showing up to the hearing? And the reason that the clerk in the court gave for the judge not showing up was the judge called in and said that his garage door hangers had come off the hinges and he was stuck in his garage. And when I heard it, I was like, that's kind of like the grown-up version of my dog ate my homework, right? Isn't it? My goodness. Ooh, I look like a Kazoom video. Ooh. Anyways, we'll just watch this effect take over my screen time and again because my phone is solidly frozen. It's like 10 degrees outside. So I don't even know if I should be filming with it, but if I break it, I'll get a new camera. But there was another thing that came over me as I was filming what I did film, and not filming or taking pictures of what I didn't. I did post a couple of extra photos that I took with my phone to Twitter. Things like the docket that was on the multimedia screen that was like right in the same hallway as the courtroom, that just showed like 3 defendants in the 3 courtrooms that were active that day, and Kolpakov's name was on it. I felt like that was something that, somebody might want to use it in like a reenactment video, like a breakdown of what all happened. Maybe it'll end up in something like that. And then a picture from the courthouse window, from the hallway outside of the courtroom, like where you would be waiting to go into the courtroom. I did that picture that you could see Mount Graham from, because I feel like Mount Graham has like a connection to this case, like feelings wise, because it just overlooks the whole damn city. It is like it's always overshadowing Grand Junction, and Clifton, the town right next to Grand Junction where the shooting happened. And so I felt like that was a good photo to share with everyone. And then I posted a picture of the courtroom's doors from the outside. I didn't take any pictures inside the courtroom. And one reason is because you're not allowed to. But I had another reason. Like, not being allowed to doesn't stop me very often, We sat in the back row, and Heather's family sat in the front row, right? And they were in the room most of the time that we were there. And I just felt like every picture, like if I just snuck my phone up and took a picture for sharing with all of you, every picture that I could have taken would not have Kolpakov, because he decided not to show up to represent himself at that hearing. I felt like it was probably because he'd have to face the family, but also it would have them, so know him and just Heather's family. And I felt like these people are grieving. They're showing up to every one of these things probably, and they don't need to be pestered with people who are just like interested in death and trials and whatnot. I mean, yeah, I go around and film in cemeteries, and I've filmed trials and put it on this channel like no other, right? Like you can see all the different videos from cemeteries, you can see all the different videos from courtroom cases that I covered on this channel, and I feel like, yeah, I am pretty removed from like the personal nature of it, but I don't feel like any shot with them in it is removed. Then I'm like invading their privacy. You know what I'm saying? I will invade Kolpakov's privacy, any chance I get, right? And if they happen to be in a shot of me taking a picture of Alexander Kolpakov, I would have been like, okay, well, maybe we can crop them out, maybe just leave a little bit of the back of their heads in. But if all that's in the shot is a pretty much empty courtroom with just their three heads, and from my vantage point, it would have been like, Mystery Science Theater 3000, where you see the shadow heads, and then they're watching the movie. That's what it would have been like. Just those three, in a row. The mom, the dad, and the sister of Heather. And it obviously so because the women in that family all have the same orange hair. I just felt like that would be wrong. And maybe some of you agree. Probably most of you agree. Some of you might disagree, but that's okay. It's my channel, my art. I'm the one who went there and, spent all that gas money to get pretty much nothing of footage. But, yeah, I just felt like I can do this, and we can talk about the murder case without involving them. And I really felt like I could have while they were waiting outside the courtroom, I could have introduced myself and said, "Hey, I'm really sorry for your loss. That there's thousands of people around the world that really feel for your loss as well, because they're all interested in this case. They really think what happened to Heather was horrible." I could have said that, right? But I've seen a different side of Heather from other friends of hers that really makes me think like that channel was not really even like 100 out of 100 things that Heather was known for doing amongst her family and friends. Seriously, it was Alexander Kolpakov's channel, co-starring sometimes Harley and Poison Ivy. It was not. It was not a major thing to her. If you were to look at her best friend's video, where she made this huge photo montage of moments with Heather at like Comic Cons and furry cons. Yeah, the whole YouTube thing was just a little blip in her life. And I felt like, for me to introduce myself to her family that way would basically be really overrepresenting us, these people that are interested in this murder trial from all over the world, to them, whereas we weren't that big to her. We actually didn't have this huge connection to her. That video from her best friend really shows like how involved she was in so many other things that we only barely got a glimpse of her. You know, I really don't even feel like, in a way that she was even a YouTuber, as it were. She's just somebody who ended up in a couple of YouTube videos, over time. But it was Kolpakov that was really the person pushing the YouTube hobby in that apartment that they shared. Yeah, and I just felt like keeping my presence minimal in the presence of the family members. And I know this is weird coming from the guy that has no problem, getting the angle that she must have died at in the spot in the street where she died, filming that and all, because I'm interested in the murder, and she is dead. Like, I'm not really violating a live person's feelings by tracking down where exactly that she died. And he is an asshole who killed his girlfriend. I have no problem violating his privacy and like looking for the shot where he's going to be taken to the courthouse, in handcuffs and chains. That I was looking for that money shot to happen, But yeah, the family, they're live people who have feelings, you know. And one thing that I felt like I could relate to with them in that moment that I was in the courtroom with them was when the trial was postponed. I immediately knew when they said the day of the week that it was that I was not going to be able to attend it because it was on a Tuesday, you know. And all of these hearings have happened or not happened month after month after month since the murder. And each time they show up, probably, just to get that one little extra bit of closure that they're grasping for. And the fact that he's defending himself at all with a not guilty plea and trying to drag this out by, having his defense attorney put up the best defense that he can, which, everyone's entitled to. But the fact that he's actually, using his rights to a fair trial and trying to get as much edge as he can for the trial and stretching it out with hearing after hearing after, prelim hearing gets turned into a review hearing, gets turned into a prelim hearing. It's every time the family shows up, the family is like, what's happening? And they have to drop everything to show up. Me, I saw that it was on a Friday that I had off, and I drove out there to see it, to see one part of it, and I've lost a couple of vacation days with them rescheduling things and me having planned it out because I have to look like 2 months ahead if I'm going to make a trip like that. I understand it just a little bit what they must be going through, but can you imagine like having to tell your boss each month, oh well, I need this day off because there's this hearing, and they set this new review hearing for another 3 weeks from now. Oh, and that now 2 weeks from that, and 2 months from that. It's eaten up all their vacation days probably, and eating up their life, their time, their justice delayed is justice denied. They want to know the end of the story, and they will show up every hearing. And of course they will. They're trying to seek justice for Heather. And I felt it just a little bit when I showed up, and he didn't, and the judge didn't either. You know, like, how lost must they have been with, like, feeling like they were going to learn something else about how the case is going, and then just learning, oh well, we're just postponing it for another month. You know, yeah, you we might have led you on with thinking that this would actually be productive, but actually, no, no. After the hearing was rescheduled, the the prosecutor waved to the three family members, "Come on over here," and they went to a side room that was kind of connected to the foyer of the courtroom. If you can imagine, there's like two sets of doors that you have to go through to get into the courtroom from the hallway, and there was like little side rooms that are soundproof. And I guess the prosecutor was talking about trial strategy with the family, and I imagine part of that takes into account the feelings of the family. You know, if the family wasn't pushing so hard for justice, I don't know that Heather would get the same type of justice, or anyone who's, killed for that matter. If they have family that show up for them to every hearing, it probably does put a little thumb on the scale of justice. And yeah, I didn't feel like it was right to eavesdrop on that either. So that's when Misty and I left and went out into the courtyard in front of the Justice building. Then I crossed the street to find some shade to film in, and sent you guys an update right away. And I won't be able to make the Tuesday, the January the 30th, because it's not on my weekend, and I'm not going to blow an entire week of vacation time to go to something that could just be, oh, well, we're going to reschedule again. You know, I have the luxury of not having to care that much. But her family, God, this is probably grueling. You know. That's all I got for today.